Imagine this. Friedrich Nietzsche, the thunderous philosopher of the 19th century, scrolling through Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn. Every other post is a polished quote from Marcus Aurelius. A tech billionaire whispers, "Focus only on what you can control," while announcing a layoff of 12,000 employees. A shirtless influencer promotes Stoic discipline as he flexes on a Bali beach, preaching emotional detachment as the secret to high performance and zero weakness. And Nietzsche? He doesn't lean back in admiration. He doesn't nod with academic curiosity. He grimaces. He glares. He scoffs. What he sees isn't wisdom reawakened. It's something he would consider a cultural sedative, a tranquilizing lie, a rebranding of spiritual withdrawal as strength. Stoicism, once born in the streets of ancient Athens, is now reborn in corporate boardrooms, podcast intros, airport bookstores, and startup manifestos. It promises serenity in chaos, power in surrender. It whispers, if you just accept your fate, you will be free. But Nietzsche saw through that illusion. To him, this modern wave of Stoicism isn't a noble revival, it's a polished cage. And its calm exterior masks a terrifying fear, the fear of feeling. You may think, wait, Stoicism helped me. It calmed my anxiety. And maybe it did. Maybe in moments of panic, focusing only on what you can control felt like an anchor. But Nietzsche would ask, at what cost? When you erase your rage, your grief, your longing, do you feel stronger? Or do you start to feel nothing at all? Today, Stoicism has become a brand, a productivity tool, a path to CEO mindset and emotional invulnerability. But to Nietzsche, this isn't growth. This is camouflage, a convenient costume for a culture that's terrified of chaos. Because when a civilization is exhausted, anxious, and uncertain, it clings to anything that promises order, even if that order comes at the price of vitality. And that is where Nietzsche draws the sword. This is not just a difference of opinion. This is a direct assault, a philosophical battlefield where two worldviews collide at their roots. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most explosive confrontations in Western philosophy. Nietzsche versus Stoicism. And what's at stake here? Not just abstract ideals, not just intellectual preferences, but something far more personal, far more urgent. How should we live? Should we embrace the storm or silence it? Should we tame ourselves or become something wild, powerful, and true? Let's begin. Let's begin with the heart of Stoic philosophy, a phrase you've probably heard before. Live according to nature. To the Stoics, this wasn't poetic fluff. It was the foundation. They believed the universe had a built-in rational order, a kind of divine structure that governs all things. And true wisdom, they claimed, was aligning yourself with that order, accepting what comes, surrendering control, flowing like a leaf on the current of fate. Think about it. Marcus Aurelius, a Roman emperor facing constant war, betrayal, and illness, still wrote calmly in Meditations, "Whatever happens is part of the plan." To many, this sounds peaceful, reassuring, even empowering. But to Nietzsche, it was delusion wrapped in serenity, and he was ready to tear it apart. In Beyond Good and Evil, Nietzsche launches his attack. You want to live according to nature? Oh, you noble Stoics, what deceptive words these are. And then he brings in the hammer. Look at nature, not through your philosophy, but through your eyes. Nature is wasteful, indifferent, brutal. It doesn't care about your virtue, your peace, or your little plans. He wasn't just being poetic. He was deadly serious. Nietzsche saw the world not as a cosmic machine running on reason, but as a battlefield of chaos. A swirling, unpredictable, often violent energy. Tsunamis don't skip the innocent. Cancer doesn't spare the kind-hearted. Predators eat prey. Forests burn and regrow. Species vanish without meaning. So what happens when we tell ourselves, everything happens for a reason? Nietzsche would argue, we're not discovering truth. We're hiding from it. And here lies his fiercest accusation. The Stoics didn't accept reality, they rewrote it. They projected their own values onto the stars, then pointed at the stars as proof. He writes, your pride wants to impose your morality on nature and incorporate it into her. To Nietzsche, this isn't philosophy. It's wishful thinking in a toga. Imagine a child staring at clouds and claiming they see faces. That's how Nietzsche viewed Stoics gazing at the cosmos, finding only what they desperately wanted to see. Not because it was real, but because reality was too raw. And yet, here's the twist. Nietzsche wasn't trying to scare you. He wasn't saying the chaos of life means we must despair. He was saying, stop lying to yourself. Stop numbing yourself with cosmic comfort. Because only when you face the raw, indifferent truth can you begin to shape something real? Stoicism says, find peace in the plan. Nietzsche says, there is no plan. Make one anyway. Let's talk about emotions. For the Stoics, emotions, especially the disruptive, messy ones, are enemies of reason. Their goal was apatheia and ataraxia, calmness, tranquility, a kind of inner stillness untouched by rage, grief, or desire. Sounds peaceful, right? But Nietzsche didn't hear peace. He heard silence. And in that silence, he heard something much more troubling, fear. In The Gay Science, Nietzsche paints a grotesque metaphor. He describes the Stoic as someone who trains himself to swallow glass shards, worms, scorpions, and not flinch. To him, Stoic self-control isn't mastery. It's mutilation. He's not impressed by someone who remains calm in every storm. He's disturbed by it. Because if nothing moves you, what's left of you? Now think about it. A person loses a loved one and feels nothing. Are they strong or numb? Someone watches injustice unfold and stays calm. Is that virtue or avoidance? Nietzsche asks, what kind of life are we building if our highest achievement is emotional immunity? A life where nothing touches us deeply, where grief doesn't ache, joy doesn't explode, and beauty doesn't move us. To him, this isn't strength, it's philosophical Botox. Smooth on the surface, dead underneath. Modern culture echoes Stoicism in ways Nietzsche would have found deeply disturbing. We say, just breathe through the anxiety. Let go of anger. Don't take things personally. All good advice sometimes, but not always. Because sometimes, anxiety is a warning. Sometimes, anger is a moral compass. Sometimes, sadness is your soul demanding to be heard. Yet we treat emotions like weeds, something to be trimmed, hidden, or managed into silence. But Nietzsche believed emotions aren't weeds. They're roots, buried deep in our experience. They nourish our creativity, our courage, our capacity to transform. And when we cut them off in the name of calm, we also cut off our vitality. Nietzsche didn't fear emotion. He feared the world that feared emotion. He believed true strength comes not from resisting feeling, but from surviving it. From walking through fire and coming out with a scar and a story. From letting life break your heart and still choosing to love it. So ask yourself, are you proud of your emotional detachment, or have you forgotten how to feel? Do you call it discipline, but deep down, know it's self-protection? Because Stoicism promises peace, but at what cost? Nietzsche promises truth, but demands everything from you. Which would you rather have? A calm surface, or a soul set on fire? Let's step back and ask a dangerous question. What happens when a philosophy designed for personal virtue becomes a tool for social control? That's what Nietzsche feared most about Stoicism. Not that it promoted calm, but that it promoted compliance. You see, Stoicism teaches that happiness is possible no matter your circumstances. That even in poverty, injustice, or slavery, you can be free if your mind is free. On the surface, that sounds empowering. But Nietzsche saw something darker hiding underneath. Because if you can find peace while being oppressed, why challenge the system that oppresses you? If you accept hardship with a smile, who benefits? It's no surprise that Stoicism is popular in today's corporate culture. Companies hand out wellness apps, promote radical acceptance, and tell employees to focus only on what you can control. Meanwhile, burnout runs high, inequality grows, and the system never changes. To Nietzsche, this isn't wisdom, it's sedation. A tranquil prison cell, painted in motivational quotes. The Stoic sage becomes the perfect employee, calm, obedient, emotionally detached. But Nietzsche didn't want peace. He wanted rupture. When he said, I am dynamite, it wasn't metaphor, it was manifesto. He believed that true transformation begins only when we stop accepting what we're told is unchangeable. He wasn't interested in managing your suffering. He wanted you to transmute it, to turn pain into power, to build new values from the ashes of what broke you. And that's why Nietzsche didn't just reject Stoicism, he rewrote the rules. He believed every philosophy is a confession, an emotional mirror. Stoicism reflects the fear of chaos. Nietzsche reflects the fear of stagnation. One speaks to the soul that's overwhelmed. The other speaks to the soul that's suffocating. And maybe, neither is wrong, because real wisdom isn't choosing one lens forever. It's knowing when to use each, depending on what your life is asking of you. Sometimes, we need Stoic clarity to survive the storm. But other times, we need Nietzschean fire to burn the whole system down. So when the world hurts you, don't just ask, what would a Stoic do? Also ask, what would Nietzsche burn? And maybe, the answer you need today isn't the same one you'll need tomorrow.